Towards the end of April 2025, we braved common travel wisdom and ventured the United Arab Emirates in summer. We wanted to visit our uncle Sriram and our aunt Pushpa, and in the process experience Dubai and some of the other Emirates. So, we were on a flight from Mumbai to Dubai, where our Indigo pilot executed a smooth touchdown at one of the world's busiest airports.
After a warm reunion at the airport, we spent the first afternoon chatting, relishing a home cooked meal, and processing, as always, the muted sounds once you leave India. In the evening, we kick-started our Emirates trip with what else but a mall, Deira city center. Other countries have many-fold the number of malls that the Emirates have, about 700 to 800 as of April 2025. But here, shopping is everything, to the extent that Emirati urban planning and the development of an area happens around the mall as the nucleus.
We were reluctant shoppers, though, misfits who had been invited to a buffet but had no intention to eat.
So we did some actual eating and then headed south towards downtown Dubai. While metros have opened up in the cities of the Arabian Peninsula in recent years, such as Doha and Riyadh, Dubai is the forerunner by a distance, having opened in 2009.
We were at Burjuman metro station, one of only two interchange stations on what is a decidedly simple metro network by global standards. The Dubai metro network consists of two lines, red and green. The green line connects the northern part of the city and some of its northeastern suburbs.
المحطة القادمة هي برج وهي محطة انتقالية بين خطي الأحمر والأخضر لمترو دبي.
The red line that we were on is almost the shape of the city itself, distilled into a line, connecting the airport in the north of the city to the industrial suburbs to the south. It is perhaps the best way to see the city in an hour. For the best view, here's a tip. Buy a gold class card or ticket, board the first car of a metro, and stand at the front of what is a driverless metro. Viewing the section that passes through the city's financial center running along Sheikh Zayed Road is like watching a simulation unfold before you. This is a mobile vantage point that no skyscraper or road provides in Dubai. On the way, it was also heartening to see Dubai invest in e-bikes and segways that were available across a city that was renowned for its cars.
Dubai has a thing for water fountains, and we've had normally overlooked this kind of display, but Iruma's piece, River Flows in You, in a public space, hijacked our attentions.
The musical water fountain was the overture to the Dubai Marina, which in turn was the adagio to the metro's allegro.
The marina is perhaps the next best thing to do after the metro ride if you only have a couple of hours. Lounge around, stroll about, take in the setting, and indulge in people watching. One can also take in the glittering jewel of the marina, which is the Al Rahim Mosque, with a design inspired by Istanbul's splendid Blue Mosque. The marina opens into the Persian Gulf, so it was hard to pass up on the opportunity to venture out into the waters. It was end of the day, but we were still lucky to find an operator, exclusive yachts, who had a slot open for a private ride. Boarding this yacht, we couldn't contain our excitement. The yacht was a simple but elegant vessel that set sail at a gentle and sustained pace. Seeing the marina this way, after having walked around a bit, added a visual thrill to the experience. This being a private experience shared among the four of us made it a far cry from a shared ride on a dhow, the standard marina experience. When we were out in the open, the waters were a little choppy, and the vessel began to sway markedly from port to starboard. Pushpa stuck to her position at the bow of the vessel, braving the sway.
While we continued to motor through the waters, Ain Dubai, or the Eye of Dubai, loomed in the distance, with the word Dubai broadcast for all and sundry to see. It would seem needless to even mention that this is the world's largest observation wheel, given Dubai's penchant for planning such projects with a firm eye on setting records. We got close enough to Ain Dubai for a photo, and then it was time to wind the Marina ride down to a close. It had been an exhilarating day one that had been planned by our uncle and aunt, and one that I would recommend as the ideal Dubai starter.
The start to day 2 offered a stark contrast to day 1 with an immersive experience in the desert, courtesy the Dubai Conservation Reserve. This experience was among the top draw highlights of our trip, showcased in a separate video. Do check it out. The theme of stark contrasts continued on day 2 with a place called Green Planet that left us feeling both incredulous and dismayed. Dubai had conjured up a tropical world within four walls, something we have chronicled in a separate video that you can watch.
Al Karama. After the open sea, a desert, and the tropics, the next world we explored in Dubai came in the form of this urban neighborhood. Walking through such neighborhoods gave us moments that helped us slip into the bloodstream of Dubai, enabling us to experience what those who live here experience on a daily basis. In the process, we also found humor in expected places through signboards put up by people. Despite all the missteps, the message and its value shone crystal clear. Cleanliness goes beyond inculcating habits in image conscious Dubai, as indicated in these balcony etiquette notices. There was more than a whiff of Singapore here, something Paul Thoreau has alluded to in his chapter on Singapore in the book The Great Railway Bazaar. Al Mankhool is the neighborhood adjacent to Al Karama and is also its commercial counterpart with a heavier focus on hotels, shopping marts, restaurants, the Burjuman Mall, and the nodal metro station. These neighborhoods offer a chance to walk to the nearby Dubai Creek, which has a dual quality. At face value, this is a place to unwind at night, savoring the views and watching people. But It also offers experiences that help you immerse in Emirati culture, something we've touched upon in a dedicated video that you can watch.
On day 3, we ventured a group tour of Dubai organized by Marina City Tours. We were moved at a cadence that was typical of a bus tour. At the first stop, we got a quick opportunity to sample one of Dubai's more recent projects, the Dubai Frame. The tour only allowed us to treat the massive photo frame as a photo op, but we had decided to pass up the opportunity to take the elevator up the frame's vertical and walk across its horizontal. The next stop on our sampling tour was Zabil Palace. This is both a royal residence and an administrative center for official meetings, diplomatic receptions, and the like. For this reason, the actual palace is off limits for tourists. Walking towards the gate, we found out that there was a virtual boundary just before that. It turned out that the police vehicle parked on the right marked the extent of how far tourists could go. Stymied, we stood there gawking at nothing in particular and then savored the gardens.
The Dubai Creek brought the city's heritage to life with a ride on a boat called Abra to the northern side of the creek, where we went back in time through the Arabic market, namely the souk. All of this is showcased in a dedicated video that you can watch. We were thankful to this segment of the group tour, for we were soon back to the sampling. The only noteworthy highlight of the remainder of the tour was a pit stop for a photo op with the Burj Al Arab. This is a high for anyone with an eye for design, especially because it blends Emirati heritage, which reflects in the structure that resembles the sail of the dhow, with the material and technological finish of modern architecture. And just like that, our sole attempt at sampling in Dubai was over.
What lingered was the evocative Greek-side ethos. We returned to a designated heritage area on the southern side of the creek, Al Seef. That made it the second night in a row that we had explored the areas by the creek. Late into the night, in what was a purely serendipitous discovery, we chanced upon a place called the Museum of Illusions. The early exhibits, with their explicit and implicit linkages to geometry, got us thinking that they were an apt fit for the Arab world. For example, take this one that tricks the mind into interpreting a two-dimensional sketch as a three-dimensional space with corridors that stretch to the back walls. There were tricks in perspective from the human catalogue of illusions, kaleidoscopic imagery, while familiar had its own allure. This kind of museum could exist anywhere, but here it felt apt on three counts: the desert as a source of mirages, the Arab world's use of nuanced, geometric, repetitive motifs, and lastly, Dubai itself as the chief purveyor of grand illusions.
On day 4, we journeyed to nearby Sharjah, a city that, despite being stuck in the early 80s wealth boom, showed its multivaried charms in barely half a day, chronicled in a separate video that you can watch. Later on the same day, back in Dubai, we visited the Museum of the Future, a spellbinding experience that left us wondering about the city's ability to build worlds within walls. We began day 5 with our favorite theme of the trip, heritage, by exploring the Al Fahidi historical neighborhood, a set of heritage buildings and artifacts that can be experienced as a collective, something you can watch in a dedicated video. Dubai's Emirati heritage lingers long in the mind after all the grandeur has faded and the gimmicks feel jaded. We intersperse this aspect of the city while the glamorous attractions such as the incongruous presence of a massive aquarium inside a mall kept coming, and that with penguins to boot.
And what can top the glamour of the tallest structure of any kind in the world? The modern day Tower of Babel, Burj Khalifa itself. During every day spent in Dubai, the clarion call from this Arabian minaret is unmistakable. When are you visiting me? We duly obliged. There was an unmistakable excitement as we snaked our way through the interminably long queue. At the elevator to the top, the digital signage on the elevator doors counted down as the elevator descended. We entered to be shot upwards to the 124th floor, nearly half a kilometer into the sky. In about a minute, we were at the observation deck where a high like no other awaited us. The views were a law unto themselves, purging any need for meaning or context. We had paid a premium for the sunset hour and had to contend with the crowded observation deck. But this was a glorious summer sunset worth every dirham.
An irrational fear of heights surfaced within me and gradually dwarfed the high of this experience, something these photos belie. I braved the temptation to descend and stayed long enough for the sun to set, upon which the city's night lights began to peek out furtively. The sunset hour is the most transformative slot to choose to experience the Burj Khalifa's observation deck. But we opted not to stay back for the full night view and descended. After our descent, I was struck by a paradox. Before ascending, it had been hard to imagine being up there. After descending, it was equally hard to imagine that we had just been up top. Such is the fleeting nature of the Burj experience. As we stepped out onto the promenade nearby, we looked back and still could not believe that we had been somewhere atop this human engineered rocket rooted to the earth but looking to the skies. The square outside Burj Khalifa turns into a contemplative space for those who have visited. When we were there, the backdrop for this rumination was appropriately surreal, with a digital billboard broadcasting images of Lily Collins. Finally, what better way to end a day like this than a ride in a Lexus, the ES350, hailed through the super app Careem. On day 6, we were back to cultural immersion when we did a day trip to the lovely city of Al Ain, a gorgeous mix of mountain scenery, oasis, and Emirati heritage, all of which has been captured in a separate video that you can watch. On day 7, we celebrated our wedding anniversary with a trip to Qudra Lakes, a birding hotspot and a camping favorite for the locals, and then capped it off with a surprise lunch at a Michelin recommended restaurant in downtown Dubai.
We were to leave Dubai the next day, and it struck us that while we had glimpsed the coastline of Dubai, we had yet to actually visit a beach. So we decided to go to Kite Beach, a lovely 2-kilometer stretch of sand overlooking the Persian Gulf. Muted shades were on display in the morning. The sand settled midway between golden and white hues. The water wasn't just some Maldivian shade of blue, it merely was. As we watched the Burj Al Arab shimmering in the distance, it dawned on us that this was yet another dimension to a city that had so much to offer a traveler. Dubai folk could come down to a beach like this and just unwind. After Kite Beach, it was time for us to leave Dubai. Our journey had been a whirlwind of malls, marinas, skyscrapers, souks, desert drives, birding sessions, and finally, even a beach. We were not done with the country though, and were off to the other biggie of the Emirates, Abu Dhabi. A whole new set of experience awaited us. Grander palaces, chic museums, and even a temple. Stay tuned for a new video.